have the house to myself for a while, so I thought I'd make some curly candles. I've got my things out already. First thing I'm going to do is preheat the test tube. This is just a regular old can full of water, and there's some leftover wax on the inside of the test tube. That doesn't matter, it'll melt off. I'm kind of indecisive as to what color I should use, though. I'm thinking I'm just going to use that purple again, but I'm going to dye it with blue crayons or blue wax or something to make it more blue, because last time it was a little too reddish, and I like kind of a bluish purple combination. So I think I'm going to mix that now. So I've got 2 chunks of white wax. First thing to do is add them. Well, actually, the first thing to do probably would have been set it on the burner. Here are 2 blue crayons. Now the thing about mixing crayons with wax for candles is you have no idea which ones are going to produce a good result. These could be perfect, and they could just mix right in to make a beautiful color, or they could just not do anything at all. Sometimes they don't blend, and you just kind of have to deal with that. And it's annoying. That's why people make commercial wax dyes, but I'm cheap, so I'm going to use crayons. It's starting to melt there. Oh, I forgot the bamboo skewer. I should probably get that. Should probably take this off the burner before I leave it unattended. How's this water doing? Getting better? Okay. I'm going to get one of those and come back. I found a used one. Conveniently enough, it's the same one I used last time I had purple wax. In general, it's good to have these around when you're making candles. They're just good for stirring the wax. You know, you could probably use something else. Maybe like one of those marshmallow sticks for campfires. I don't know. I mean, just whatever it takes to stir it. But it is useful, because sometimes you need a little extra effort to get the crayons to dissolve. So I'm going to put this back on. This burner's going crazy, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit. I'm beginning to worry that I might have oversaturated this wax right here. It's very dark. That's a good thing, though, because when you're dipping candles, they should always have a darker color than when you're molding them, because when you dip them, there are these tiny little air bubbles that form in between the layers, and when those air bubbles get there, they don't escape, and they just kind of hang around, and they make things look kind of white, and they wash out the color. Ooh. Is that it? Are they gone? Okay, I think the white wax is fully dissolved. Or melted. Not the same thing at all. Yeah. I'm gonna pour this in, I guess. Maybe let it sit for a minute. It's pretty hot. I don't want to put sudden stress on the test tube. This here is about to spill. I don't know how I'm going to take care of this. First thing to do is turn the burner off. I'm just going to make room. Oh, that's hot. Oh, jeez, that's hot. Really shouldn't have filled it so full. I think there is an eyedropper here. If there is, here it is. I can use this to drain this. Oh, wow. That's so effective. Sometime this week I'll have this drained. Okay, I'm tired of this. I'll just push this out of the way with this. Huh? Yeah, there you go. Okay, now we're doing good. So now I'm just going to melt this. Turn it back up, maybe kind of a low setting. Yeah, it's already melting. Good, good, good. A tip for when your wax gets dirty, filter it through steel wool when it's melted. Steel wool will clean out the dirt for you, and, you know, once it solidifies, just pour it into a good container and pour it back, and you can scrub out the old container with just a piece of paper towel. Just make sure that the wax is still melted when you clean it out, because it's not going to do anything when it's solid. I had to make a quick run to get some steel wool. This was already bubbling when I came back, just as I expected. It's pretty nasty. I put some solid wax in that other container to dilute it. I think it's doing its job. But now that I have this out, I might as well finish the job. Oh boy, that's really hot. Okay. When I made these, I cut a little spout into them so you can pour out of them more easily. Helps aim the flow of wax when you pour out. This one doesn't have a very good spout, but it still works, I think. Hold it against here so the wax runs through it as it comes out. Ow, that's hot. It's really hot. Okay. There it goes. Yeah. Now I'm gonna wipe this out. Well, I've mixed up the wax, and it's time to do a little pouring action. This could end up disastrously. Okay. That wasn't bad. But, well, okay. It wasn't that bad. You probably noticed that the wax at the top is still solid. That just happens. That's because there's nothing but conduction from the lower half of the test tube to heat up the wax, but that heat is constantly being lost. But with the convection, with the bottom half of the wax actually submerged, and the wax flowing up to the top, it melts it within minutes, so pretty soon that should all go away. So by now, enough of the wax inside the test tube has melted so that I don't really care anymore. It's not that great of a color, but I also kinda don't care because this is a demonstrational video, and I don't know. I'm not really biased against any color in particular, except for orange. But anyway, what I've got here is this string, which I'm going to use in just a minute, and I got this test tube full of wax. And if you don't have a test tube, I understand, not everybody does. You can use a vase, although it'll probably take more wax. Basically, what you use the test tube for is to stand up the wax vertically so that you can dip something without wasting a huge amount of wax. I think it's a pretty handy system to have. But I'm just going to go ahead and start dipping. So I'm just going to put it in there, shove it as far as it goes, and see what I catch. Okay, first dip, not really much happens. Just gets very lightly coated with a faint hue. You know, that's what I'd expect, really. Dip, come right back out, and just let it hang loose. Well, I'm probably at about 20 or 25 dips now. You can see the candle's starting to gain its color and it's starting to gain some thickness too. But I really diluted that wax way too much. This is going to be a sky blue candle, maybe even baby blue. It's okay though. I mean, I don't really mind it. That's not a bad color anyway. I'm at God knows how many dips, and I think I'm just about to get finished here. You know when you're finished because either the candle is the desired diameter or it's big enough that it can't fit inside the neck of whatever container you're using anymore. You see, when I used this for a while, the neck gets clogged up with wax, so I need to scrape it out and shove it down to the bottom so it can melt and get out of the way. But it just clogs up more and more frequently the wider the candle gets, so it gets pretty frustrating towards the end. So now is usually about a good time to quit, but I'm gonna go for maybe 10 more dips, 5 more dips. How about 8 more dips? Okay, 8 more dips. Okay, now I'm done with the dipping, and I thoroughly made a mess of everything within my power. Good job, me. After you've dipped the candle a bunch in hot wax, it's still pretty warm, and it's very flexible, and so it can be bent very easily like this. And maybe after you let it cool a little because it's kind of hot, maybe after you do that, you can twirl it around a skewer or any sort of straight pole stick type thing, and just kind of curl it at kind of a tight angle. Try to make the angle consistent because, you know, it looks better. Let's see. The thing is, if you do it before it's cool enough, then you could risk getting fingerprints on the candle. That's generally not a good thing. I'm going to curl this pretty tight. About something like that. Yeah, that's good. Now to make the base, just curl it at a 90-degree angle, as tight as it goes. So then you have this right here. Now, the pole is going to have a tendency to lean to the side because it's still hot and it's not solid yet. So it takes a lot of patience and a lot of determination to make sure it's still pointing up straight and it can still support its own weight. And it's pretty frustrating sometimes, but you just keep an eye on it and it should be alright. Now that the candle is solidified, I've come to the fun part. This is where I take the molten wax, take an eyedropper, and just drip it on. You've got to make sure the candle is fully cooled by this point, but once it is, you can just drip on the wax. Probably make sure the wax is on the cool side. You won't want it to be too hot or else it won't stabilize, and just drip it wherever you think it fits.